Hey guys, Adam here with AmericanTrucks.com, and today we're taking a closer look at listening to and of course installing the Flowmaster American Thunder dual rear exit black tip catback exhaust, available for the 2019 and newer 5.7 Ram with the factory dual exhaust. Now, as you just heard from our sound clips, guys, I'm giving this 3 out of 5 on our loudness meter, making it a perfect daily driver option for someone who wants to beef up the sound profile of their truck without going too overwhelming or too expensive. Now at idle, you can expect a super deep rumble, one that doesn't produce much drone, if any at all, inside the cabin, but something that gives you a nice, loud, aggressive bark at wide open throttle. Now this guy at highway speeds may give you some drone in cabin, but honestly, I didn't mind it whatsoever. It still sounded pretty good. American Thunder is a flagship exhaust from Flowmaster. It's been around for years. It's tried and true. Everyone loves it. This kit here has the 50 Series HD muffler from Flowmaster, which, if you're familiar with Flowmaster mufflers, the lower the number, the louder the exhaust is going to be. The 50 Series is that sweet spot for that daily driver. Now, this guy is painted in black as well, the muffler at least, to beef up that 409 stainless to give you a more corrosion and rust resistant exhaust. The rest of it is 3-inch mandrel-bent 409. Now, the tips here are slash-cut, double-walled black tips. They look super good on this 19 Ram we have here. It'll match any paint color. It looks so aggressive, pretty stealthy at the rear, but if you're not liking the black, there are polished options in the category as well as Flowmaster's own American Thunder. Now, the price is coming in right around $750, so you're getting a really crisp, high-quality sound without going into the $1,000+ range. $750 is that sweet spot as well for someone who just wants a little bit extra out of their truck without spending 304 stainless money. The install is going to get 3 out of 3 wrenches on our difficulty meter. There is cutting involved for certain cab size and bed lengths. Now, if you have a crew cab with a short box like we do, there is some cutting involved. Now, if you have a 6'4" bed, a little bit longer of a bed, there is no cutting involved. So you want to make sure you're checking out the instructions in the book to make sure you know exactly how much to cut off the pipe. And I'll talk more about that later on when we get to that portion of the install. It'll take you about 2, maybe 3 hours from start to finish. I'll take you through the whole process. Let's get started. Tools used in the install include an impact gun, a ratchet, 13, 14, 15, and 16 millimeter deep sockets, 14 millimeter wrench, hanger removal tool is recommended, WD-40 or something similar. A pry bar comes in handy, as well as some safety glasses. In addition to what you see on the table here, what we don't have is a table saw or something similar to cut with if it's required for your trim package, as well as a deburring tool or something you can use to clean up your cut. First step here, we're going to grab our hanger removal tool and pop the hanger off right above our resonator on our passenger side tailpipe. The driver's side tailpipe is one piece all the way back to the muffler inlet, so we're going to attack that later. So for right now, we're going to do this, and I've lubricated it with WD-40. That makes life a little bit easier. All right, next step, grab your ratchet and your 15 millimeter deep socket, and we're going to loosen up the clamp holding the tailpipe to the rest of the exhaust assembly. All right, hanger's out of position, clamp is loosened up. Let's get this exhaust pipe off. All right, so at this point, we're going to focus on our driver's side tailpipe. Now, like I said, it's all one piece. I have a pull jack here right behind the resonator just to give it some support once we start disconnecting things. I am going to remove this tip, however. Removing this tip gives you another foot, maybe foot and a few inches of extra space that you don't have to worry about feeding out of the frame. So we're going to take this guy off with a 13 millimeter socket. Next, we can pop the hanger out of the isolator using our hanger removal tool right above that resonator. All right, so now we can disconnect the hangers right above the muffler outlet. There's one on each side. Grab your hanger removal tool and get these guys off. Now, as you can see, I have a pull jack here supporting this as well. So we have 2 different points of support for this exhaust. Now for this one, it's tough to get the hanger removal tool in here, so I'm going to use my pry bar to get this guy off. All right, so next up, we're gonna focus on this flange here. Now you could bypass this and go straight back to the cat, but that's a lot of exhaust to take off in one piece, so I'm gonna separate it here. Now, once we have this taken care of, there is one more hanger to remove, but for now, grab your 16mm socket and disconnect these two bolts. All right, now when you pop this guy out of the hanger isolator, this is all gonna come loose, so you wanna be prepared for that. Before we do so, there's a ground strap here. I'm just gonna disconnect that from the factory tubing. All right, so that way it dangles here and we can reconnect it to our new exhaust later. So now we can grab our hanger removal tool and pop that guy off. All right, now you can take this exhaust off. From here, switch over back to a 15 socket, and we're going to remove the two nuts holding on our last flange. All right, so we got our factory exhaust off of our 2019 5.7 Ram, and it's on the ground here next to our Flowmaster American Thunder catback. Now, the American Thunder catback here is, again, one of the flagship options from Flowmaster, and there are some pretty big similarities and pretty big differences that we want to talk about here. Now, starting at the front of the vehicle, you'll see it's very similar in the way that it's designed. We have a 3-inch tubing here, 3-inch tubing from the factory, same similar style flange at the top. We're going to use slip fit connectors here for the piping instead of the flange there, so slight difference. But the big differences come in with your mufflers and your tips. The muffler here from Flowmaster is obviously smaller than the factory option, and you can see it's got the high temp satin black paint on it. Now, the high temp black paint is going to add some durability and corrosion and rust resistance on top of the already upgraded 409 stainless steel, so that's a big upgrade there as well. You don't want your muffler rusting through, so if you see yourself having this exhaust on your Ram for its lifetime, or at least for several years, having that paint there is going to go a long way for its durability. Moving on from the outlet, you can see it goes from single inlet to dual outlet, unlike your factory exhaust, which has a single outlet splitting into dual. So this doesn't necessarily mean a true dual exhaust, but it is going to help airflow a little bit more. So splitting off into the dual outlet, you'll see it has mandrel bends, which means it's going to reduce some of the kinks and airflow restrictions. Another notable difference here is the fact that your Flowmaster option does not have any resonators in the tailpipes. Your factory has those two bullet style resonators there, which is going to help reduce some of the higher frequencies that you'd get from your exhaust tones, which means your American Thunder, you're going to hear a little bit more inside the cabin. You'll get a little bit more of an aggressive growl. You might even have a little bit more raspiness to it due to those higher frequencies. Now, the exit style there, similar to the factory option, they fit perfectly into the notches in your factory rear bumper, but your tailpipe tips are going to be very different. You have 4-inch double-walled slash-cut black tips. The black tips are personal preference. There's polished ones out there as well from Flowmaster, but the black gives you a little bit more of a stealthy finish, again with the high-temp satin black finish. Now, the double-walled means it's got that thick, really meaty, aggressive look to it, and it's got the Flowmaster name embedded right on top. Now, this whole kit is going to install in pieces. As you can see, we're going to start from the extension pipe up top. Depending on your cab size and bed length, you may not need this extension pipe here. That is an addition just in case you have a different size truck, so just keep in mind, read your directions, make sure your wheelbase matches depending on whether or not you'll need that. So let's start up front with the flange. Let's head over to the truck. All right, now first step of the install here, we actually have to remove the pressed-in studs here on the factory pipe. Now, these are not going to be long enough to reach through the new flange on our Flowmaster pipes, so what I'm going to do is grab my hammer and the factory nut. I'm going to thread the factory nut on backwards, just a thread or two, and I'm going to hit on the back end of this nut. Without this, you can cause damage to the threads, and then if you ever wanted to go back to stock, these would be damaged, so you don't want to do that. So let's go ahead and put this guy on, grab your hammer, and knock it out. All right, so next up we would install this. Now, depending on what cab size and bed length you have, you may need to modify this pipe. Now, if you have a crew cab truck, with a 6/4 bed, there's no modification required. You can bolt this up right as it is out of the box. If you have a quad cab with a 6/4 bed, you have to cut 13 inches back off the rear end of this inlet pipe. Now, if you're like us and you have a crew cab with a 5/7 bed, we're gonna cut 9 inches off. What we're gonna do is take this to our table saw and cut off from 9 inches from the back. All right, so now we have to measure and cut. Now, of course, you wanna make sure you're measuring twice, cutting once. You just wanna make sure you get this correct the first time, unless you really wanna weld it back together. Now, you wanna make sure you're cutting the opposite end of the flange. So now, for our model, we have to measure out 9 inches. I got my measuring tape here and my Sharpie. Going straight back from the edge, I'm gonna mark a mark right at 9. Perfect, so this is our 9 inches. All right, so once you have that measured out, you can cut it. All right, so next step, grab the studs included in the kit. These are a little bit longer than the factory ones, which is why we pushed out those. So let's put this guy in place. Bolt head on the inside there. And now you can lift up your entire new assembly, the inlet pipe, and set it into place with the flange. You want to make sure when you're installing this that the bent tube is bending toward the driver's side. I have the other end of our inlet pipe supported up, so I can use both of my hands to put these washers in place along with the nuts. All right, at this point, you can make sure that the flange is connected properly for a secure fitting here so there's no exhaust leak, and tighten it down with your 15mm socket. All right, so next up you have your hanger pipe, which is gonna go right into this isolator on the frame where your ground strap is. Make sure you have a 3-inch Torque clamp over that slip fit connector. Slide this guy into place, and then we'll connect it to the isolator. Now, if you need to, you can grab a mallet and tap the guy back in. All right, so now grab your 15 socket and tighten down that clamp. All right, so now we can install our Flowmaster muffler. Now you'll notice that the outlet here, they're perfectly symmetrical, so up, down, doesn't really matter which way you put it. We're gonna slide this in. I like to put the Flowmaster name facing down. All right, so now you can tighten down this clamp. Before we move any further, what we want to do is reconnect our ground strap. Now, we disconnected it from the factory exhaust. Just clip it back on to your new hanger on the new exhaust. All right, so next up we can focus on our tailpipe. Now you have 2 hangers, one on each side. You want to make sure you're focusing on the isolators too, and also we put a clamp over the muffler outlet. Now for this, you want to feed it over the pan-hard bar bracket. Gonna have to contort it a certain way. And now we can start connecting them. All right, so once you have that in place, we're gonna put our hanger washer here that'll hold it in place there, and then we'll tighten down this clamp. All right, so now you can rotate the pipe into position and tighten it down. So now we can do the driver's side pipe. We're gonna feed this right on over the axle and back into the muffler. Just make sure you have a clamp on the muffler outlet. All right, once you have that in, tighten down your clamp. Next up is going to be this pipe that's extending from the overaxle pipe back to your tips on your driver's side. Make sure you have a clamp over the end, slip it into the hanger isolator, and then connect the pipes. All right, so now we can take our Flowmaster tip, and we don't have to worry about putting a clamp over the end. The bolt up top here with that split is gonna help to clamp it down. So let's slide this over our pipe here on our driver's side and align it where we need it to be. All right, once you have that taken care of, tighten it down. All right, so now I'm grabbing my 14 wrench and my 14 socket to tighten down the clamp. Now you can just repeat that for the other side. At this point, once you have everything aligned where you want it, go back and tighten down all your clamps and you're good to go. And with that said, it's going to wrap up my review and install for the Flowmaster American Thunder catback, available for the 19 and newer 5.7 Ram. Get yours right here at AmericanTrucks.com.